السلام عليكم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. سبحانك اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. Last time we were reading the verses about Saba and what happened to them. And today inshallah we'll start from ayah number 20, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَقَدْ صَدَّقَ عَلَيْهِمْ إِبْلِيسُ ظَنَّهُ فَاتَّبَعُوهُ إِلَّا فَرِيقًا مِّنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَمَا كَانَ لَهُ عَلَيْهِمْ مِنْ سُلْطَانٍ إِلَّا لِنَعْلَمَ مَنْ يُؤْمِنُ بِالْآخِرَةِ مِمَّنْ هُوَ مِنْهَا فِي شَكٍّ وَرَبُّكَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ حَفِيظٌ. So we spoke before about Dawood and Sulaiman and Saba, and today we'll be talking about Iblis. Allah says, وَلَقَدْ صَدَّقَ عَلَيْهِمْ إِبْلِيسُ ظَنَّهُ فَاتَّبَعُوهُ. وَلَقَدْ صَدَّقَ عليهم إبليس ظنه. ظنه is his expectation of them. So Iblis's expectation of them came true, or Iblis made his expectation of them come true. So what did he expect from them? Was the dhann of Iblis. So these people followed Iblis, and Allah said his expectation of these people came true. إِلَّا فَرِيقًا مِّنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. We'll come to that. But what was the expectation of Iblis from people? Iblis is the one who deceived Adam. So when Allah created Adam, and Allah admitted Adam and his wife to Al-Jannah, and He said to them not to come near the tree, and then Iblis deceived them, and he said to Adam, هَلْ أَدُلُّكَ عَلَى شَجَرَةِ الْخُلْدِ وَمُلْكٍ لَا يَبْلَى. Shall I tell you about the tree of eternity and dominion that never goes away? So you will be enjoying forever if you eat from this tree. So Adam listened to him, and Adam ate from the tree, and we know what happened after that. So Iblis, his expectation is, if Adam, the Prophet of Allah, the first of mankind, the one who was created by Allah's hands, and Allah blew His spirit in him, this chosen one, I managed to deceive him, what about his offspring? They will be much easier. So the expectation of Iblis, all the descendants of Adam will be deceived. So if the father just listened to me very easily and he did what I told him to do, by a little bit of deception, what about his offspring? It will be easier than that. But Iblis, when he spoke to Allah, he said, قَالَ رَبِّ بِمَا أَغْوَيْتَنِي لَأَقْعُدَنَّ لَهُمْ صِرَاطَكَ الْمُسْتَقِيمِ. Or in the other ayah said, لَأُغْوِيَنَّهُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ إِلَّا عِبَادَكَ مِنْهُمْ الْمُخْلَصِينَ. I will deceive them all except the chosen ones or the sincere ones from them. So Iblis actually, in this ayah, he was realistic. He said, I'll deceive them all, but then he said, not all of them. Some of them won't be easy for me to deceive. And Allah says in the Quran, إِنَّ كَيْدَ الشَّيْطَانِ كَانَ ضَعِيفًا. The plot of a shaitan is indeed weak. The plot of a shaitan is weak. It's weaker than the plot of shayateen al-ins, of mankind. Because if you have a bad friend, and that bad friend is telling you to do something evil, if you say أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, that bad friend is not going to go away. But shaitan is as weak as this. Just say أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, will go away. Shaitan just will run away. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said. And what Allah said is true. So if you come to your salah and start hearing these whispers from shaitan, just say sincerely, stop your salah, pause, what you're doing in salah and say أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم with the intention of pushing the shaitan away, to run away. Allah said that. Not just in salah, at any time. At any time that you are reading Quran and then some whispers come, stop your recitation and say أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Just to scare shaitan and drive him away. Will go away. It's like say you are sitting in your house like next to the window and you see some people climbing on the fence or they're trying to climb. Just do like that, they will run away. They will hear that, they run away. So shaitan says, say أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, shaitan will go. But the shaitan said something really interesting. In the ayah we mentioned earlier, the shaitan said, لأقعدن لهم صراطك المستقيم. I will sit for them on your straight path. What does that mean? So it means that a shaitan is not going to be in the pub. It's not going to be with evil ones. A shaitan actually goes to people like yourselves. A shaitan sits on the way to the masjid. Siratak al-mustaqim. These are the people who are a shaitan that work with. Because other ones, they take control of themselves. They take care of themselves. So shaitan doesn't need to worry about them. So someone is already drinking and doing all the evil and committing adultery or whatever, so shaitan, leave them. Okay, it's autopilot. They do it by themselves. But shaitan goes to people who are in as-sirat al-mustaqim. He said, siratak al-mustaqim. I will be sitting on as-sirat al-mustaqim to stop them from going forward. And there is a story they said about Abu Hanifa. Abu Hanifa was very clever. He was a very clever person. And they said, people used to go to him for, in the time of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when people had any problem, they used to go to Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Anything, any illness, any doubts, any suspicion, any conflict, you go to Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then seek advice. Then after Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they used to go to people, to his companions, and then their followers and people of knowledge. So a person like Abu Hanifa, what people used to go to for any problem. So they said something else. One person went to Abu Hanifa and he said to him, I saw my wife on a ladder, but I didn't want her to go there. So when I saw her, he got very angry and he said, if you climb up, you are divorced. If you climb down, you are divorced. And then he went to Abu Hanifa and said, now she's stuck on the ladder, I don't know what to do. And then he said, go to her and tell her to jump off. He said, easy, just ask her to jump, because he didn't mention jumping. So Abu Hanifa, one person came to him and he said something to him. It has nothing to do with fiqh or Islam. There's no fatwa in that. So he said to him, I had some money and I wanted to hide it somewhere. So I went next to my house, there is a land, and then I dug a hole and then I put it there, I buried it, and then I put a rock on it to mark that place. He said, then the flood came and the rock was moved from the place. I went back, I didn't know where it was, because the flood came, it moved the rock, and then I can't even see any mark of digging or anything. So I don't know how to find it. Abu Hanifa said, أَفِي هَذَا عِلْمٍ. He said, you don't need like religious knowledge to answer this question. He said, why you come to me? He said, but I'll try to help you. He said, what? He said, no, you know what? You go near that place at night, make wudu, and focus with Allah, and sincerely you stand up and pray 2 rak'ah, just for the sake of Allah. But you need to just really concentrate into rak'ah. Forget about your money. Just pray and focus on that with full khushu' in your salah. So the man went, he did his wudu and started the salah with full sincerity and khushu'. And then his salah, he thought, actually I walked 10 steps that way and then I turned right about 3 steps next to that tree. That must be there. Let me try after salah. So he finished his 2 rak'ah, he went there, started digging, he found his money. So he went back to Abu Hanifa and he said to him, what happened? He said, Alhamdulillah, I found my money. But but how did you, like, where did you get this idea from? He said, I knew that a shaitan will never let you complete your salah if you go with this intention to have khushu' and focus on your salah. A shaitan will come in your salah and he will help you to find your money. So I told you to do that. So did it happen? He said, yeah, it happened. He said, I started my salah, then I remembered everything. How many steps and what happened, and then I found my money there. He said, then spend next night thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this. So it's, by the way, that waswasa, that confusion in salah and thoughts that come to you in salah is not a sign of evil. It's a sign of iman, if you get what I mean. It's a sign of good heart, because this means a shaitan is really concerned, and the shaitan is after you, and the shaitan doesn't let you complete your salah. So if someone is already going to salah, Allah Akbar, so shaitan doesn't care much about these people, because they're already confused. They already don't focus on their salah, and they don't care whether they have khushu' or they don't have khushu'. But someone who comes to salah with the intention to have khushu' and they humble themselves in salah and start reciting and thinking about their reciting, then shaitan comes in, and the Rasul said. So shaitan is in the masjid. The Rasul mentioned that. And you know, the Rasul said that when you stand up in salah and prayer, then don't leave gaps, because shaitan will go through these gaps. Because shaitan comes in the masjid. And shaitan goes in the masjid because this is the battlefield of a shaitan here. So shaitan is really interested in coming in this place and going to people in their salah and confusing them in their salah. So when you have these thoughts in your salah, again say A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitan Rajim. It will come again, A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitan Rajim again. And the shaitan will come to you and say, oh, you haven't prayed 3 rak'ah in your salah. Oh, you've prayed 4. This Maghrib is 3, you've prayed 4 already. Just say A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitan Rajim. And what they say in salah, you make your assumption you did less. So if you are not sure in salah you did 3 or 4, assume that you've done 3. So if shaitan comes, say A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitan Rajim and just complete your salah. 1, 2, 3 times the shaitan will give up and will leave you. You'll find another person. Find the shaitan say, okay, let me find another idiot. This man is so clever. Because A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitan Rajim, and just carry on with your salah, then the shaitan will find. Same as wudu. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it obligatory to do once in the wudu. So in the ayah in the Quran, to wash your mouth, your face, your hand, your arm, your head, your leg, once. That's the obligation. And the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam made them 3. So you can't have any doubt after that. So the obligation is once, and the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam made them 3. The sunnah is 3. So you can't have any doubt after that, actually this is dry, this is whatever, I didn't do part of my face. It's done. It's done. When you finish it, it's done. So when the shaitan comes after that, just ignore him. Shaitan comes after those. So, oh, you forgot to make your right feet. You forgot to wipe your head. Your left foot looks dry. This kind of thought, just ignore it. Just once, twice, 3 times, then the shaitan will leave you and go and find another person next in the line. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَقَدْ صَدَّقَ عَلَيْهِمْ إِبْلِيسُ ظَنَّهُ فَاتَّبَعُوا. So for these people, the people of Saba, so a shaitan made his expectation come true. And his expectation was, these people will listen. Same as the father. So because the father listened, so he used the analogy, then the children will listen too. But Allah said, فَاتَّبَعُوهُ, they followed him, إِلَّا فَرِيقًا مِّنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ, except a party of the believers. So, and the exception is always smaller than the what you call it, the whole. So he said, everyone went to the masjid except Muhammad. Or except 3 people. If I say everyone went inside except 3 people, then how many inside? They can't be 2. They must be maybe 10 or more. So if he said that I lost all my money except £5. So how much did you lose? It can't be £3. It must be something greater than the 5. You get the idea? So when Allah said إِلَّا فَرِيقًا مِّنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ, this means that those who didn't listen to shaitan are less than those who listen to shaitan, those who follow the shaitan. And this is, by the way, we mentioned last time when Allah said in ayah number 13, وَقَلِيلٌ مِّنْ عِبَادِيَ الشَّكُورِ. So, and a few of my people are thankful. Or as we were discussing this last time, are very thankful. So a few of the people are thankful. And you find all the time Allah says in the Quran, a few of the people are know, a few just, most of people don't know, most of people are unjust, most of people are ungrateful. So the norm is the majority will follow shaitan. So the majority will follow shaitan, and the exception is going to be less. فَرِيقًا مِّنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. And may Allah make us from those who don't follow shaitan. فَاتَّبَعُوهُ إِلَّا فَرِيقًا مِّنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. So always, like here in Saba, the entire nation follow the shaitan. But you always find a party or a group that is not following the shaitan. And this tells us something, that don't be deceived by the number. Don't be deceived by the number of those who follow shaitan, and don't feel lonely if it's only you who don't follow shaitan. So when you look at, because psychologically, if you are, say you're driving somewhere and you see all the cars are taking the junction, all the cars going through the exit, and no one is continuing on the main road, what most people will do will just turn right with them, because you'll assume might be something, might be the road is blocked, there's a warning at the back, I didn't see it. You'll try to justify it for yourself, this must be the right direction, and just will go with the majority. But the principle is not the number of people who do it. It's what's right and what's wrong. It's not how many people do this and how many people do that. Because in reality, majority of the people will be doing the wrong, and the minority will be following the right path. فَاتَّبَعُوهُ إِلَّا فَرِيقًا مِّنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. So that party of the believers did not follow the majority. These people, they thought about it, what's right and what's wrong, and they were not deceived. And they made what they believed to be the right. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمَا كَانَ لَهُ عَلَيْهِمْ مِنْ سُلْطَانٍ. He had no authority on them. But subhanallah, the Arabic language is very powerful and very rich. When Allah said, وَمَا كَانَ لَهُ عَلَيْهِمْ مِنْ سُلْطَانٍ, that word min, that means it much stronger than saying that he had no authority of them in any way. Nothing at all. So if there was no min in the sentence, وَمَا كَانَ لَهُ عَلَيْهِمْ سُلْطَانٍ, the sentence will be right. It will be correct and give the similar meaning. But when this word min is added, this word indicates there's nothing at all. There is no authority whatsoever of any kind from shaitan on them. So if you say, again, he said, لَيْسَ فِي الْبَيْتِ أَحَدٍ, there is no one in the house. But if you say, لَيْسَ فِي الْبَيْتِ مِنْ أَحَدٍ, there is absolutely no one in the house. Because the first sentence, could someone understand it as, there is no adult in the house? Or there is no man in the house? Or something, anything. So someone can qualify that ahad, that a person. But when you say لَيْسَ فِي الْبَيْتِ مِنْ أَحَدٍ, absolutely no one inside, no one at all inside. the house. So when Allah said وَمَا كَانَ لَهُ عَلَيْهِمْ مِنْ سُلْطَانٍ, so Shaitan had no authority whatsoever, no authority of any kind on them. So when Allah said لَيْسَ لَهُ عَلَيْهِمْ مِنْ سُلْطَانٍ, no authority of any kind, because there are two authorities. There are two types of authority that someone has over someone else. What's that? Help me. Physical authority. Excellent. So physical authority, someone that puts a gun next to your head and he said, if you don't say that, if you don't do that, I'll shoot you. That's a physical authority. Someone forces you to do something. So that's a physical authority, and your heart is not convinced, your heart doesn't agree to it, but you're forced to do it. And prime example of that is Ammar ibn Yasir. You know his mother's name? Sumayya. So what happened to him?
So family of Yasir were killed by Abu Jahl.
Yeah.
In a public place, and then he inserted a metal through Sumayya.
And then what happened to Ammar, the son?
Yeah, so Abu Jahl forced him to denounce Islam and Rasulullah.
And then, and what did he do?
He said he does not believe.
Yeah. So Ammar saw his parents got murdered in front of him, and then they said to him, if you want to join your parents, you're welcome, just carry on and we'll kill you. Otherwise, if you want to save your life, you have to reject Muhammad and his religion. He said, I do reject Muhammad and his faith. He said, okay, you're free, go. So what happened after that? He went to Rasulullah, he said, Ya Rasulullah, I'm finished, because I did that. After I believed, and then I disbelieved after that. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, the ayah in Surah Al-Nahl, من كفر بالله من بعد إيمانه إلا من أكره وقلبه مطمئن بالإيمان, except the one who's forced while his heart is satisfied with the faith. He said to him, you only said it by your tongue under the threat, but your heart is satisfied of Iman. So this is the first type of authority. It's a physical authority. Someone forces you physically, someone forces you to do something. What's the other authority? So this authority, Shaitan doesn't have it. So Shaitan is not coming to twist your arm and tell you, come out of the masjid, or go to this place, or do this act. It doesn't happen. What's the other authority?
Psychological?
Yeah,
Psychological, Psychological, maybe law?
Yeah, like what? No, waswasa is not an authority. So what you talk about it? This is what Shaitan does, which is not an authority. So the other authority is the authority of convincing someone, the authority of evidence, of logic. So if I come to you and logically I convince you to do something, and you're convinced, then you do it. So you agree with your heart to do that thing, and then you go and do it yourself. So there is no logic with a shaitan when he tells you to do something, to disobey. There's no logic in it at all. So what the shaitan does is just say to you, this is nice, this is beautiful. If you go to a shop and there is an advert there saying, this bottle of water is really good, it gives you strength, if you drink it you'll feel really powerful, and you'll feel happy as well, and you may have extra wealth. Someone said, if you believe that and just open and drink it, this is not the authority that we're talking about. But if they tell you the ingredients and explain to you with evidence about what's in this water and how it works, and then you are convinced after that, logically convinced, actually this water, and you believe it, this water is actually good for your health, and then you drink it, this is different. So what a shaitan does, a shaitan has no logic. So when a shaitan goes to someone and tell them to do something evil, there is no authority, because deep in the heart They're not convinced about it. So shaitan, what shaitan does, the shaitan just makes things look beautiful and attractive. And then people do go and do it. So when Allah said, وَمَا كَانَ لَهُ عَلَيْهِمْ مِنْ سُلْطَانٍ, He had no authority of any type on them. And the shaitan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Ibrahim, وقال الشيطان لما قضي الأمر إن الله وعدكم وعد الحق ووعدتكم فأخلفتكم وما كان لي عليكم من سلطان إلا أن دعوتكم فاستجبتم لي. And the shaitan said, when the matter is finalized, this means when everything finished in Jahannam, inside the fire, the shaitan will be talking to the followers. So imagine that. So shaitan in the middle of Jahannam, and there are a lot of followers around, and everyone is blaming the other. But then people saw shaitan and said, oh, this is the one to blame. He is the one who misled us all. So وقال الشيطان, Allah said, shaitan said, وقال الشيطان لما قضي الأمر إن الله وعدكم, Allah promised you the promise of the truth, and I promised you too, but I broke my promise. So shaitan promised you what? As shaitan said, do this and you'll be successful. Do this and you'll enjoy. Do this, nothing wrong will happen to you. It is really good. It is beautiful. And they just obeyed. So shaitan said, إن الله وعدكم وعد الحق ووعدتكم فأخلفتكم. Allah said in Surah Al-Baqarah, الشيطان يعدكم الفقر. A shaitan promises you poverty. So when you spend for the sake of Allah, the promise of Allah is, you spend, I'll replace it, I'll give you more. I'll increase your wealth in the dunya and your reward in al-akhirah. This is the promise of Allah. The promise of shaitan is, you spend, you will become poor. So you leave the promise of Allah and follow the promise of shaitan. This is what shaitan is saying. Allah promised you the promise of the truth and you didn't take it, but you took my promise, but I'm sorry, I can't help. I broke my promise. وَوَعَدْتُكُمْ فَأَخْلَفْتُكُمْ. And then shaitan would say, وَمَا كَانَ لِيَ عَلَيْكُمْ مِنْ سُلْطَانٍ. Same thing. I had no authority on you of any type. وَمَا كَانَ لِيَ عَلَيْكُمْ مِنْ سُلْطَانٍ إِلَّا أَنْ دَعَوْتُكُمْ فَاسْتَجَبْتُمْ لِي. Except I called you and you responded. I said come and you came. وَمَا كَانَ لَهُ عَلَيْهِمْ مِنْ سُلْطَانٍ إِلَّا لِنَعْلَمَ مَنْ يُؤْمِنُ بِالْآخِرَةِ مِمَّنْ هُوَ مِنْهَا فِي شَكٍّ. So he had no authority on them except to know who believes in al-akhirah from the one who is in doubt about it. So does that mean that Allah allows a shaitan to deceive us in order to know which of us believes in al-akhirah from the one who doesn't? It doesn't mean that. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here is to make it evident. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala punishes or rewards people, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala punishes with evidence. So people do it, and then after that the punishment comes. Otherwise, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knew before He created us, that who's going to go to the right and who's going to go to the wrong. But Allah said, إِلَّا لِنَعْلَمَ مَنْ يُؤْمِنُ بِالْآخِرَةِ مِمَّنْ هُوَ مِنْ. To make it evident for everyone, for themselves and for others, who believes in al-akhirah and who is in doubt about it. Allah says in Surah Al-Ankabut, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ألف لام ميم أحسب الناس أن يتركوا يقولوا آمنا وهم لا يفتنون ولقد فتنا الذين من قبلهم فليعلمن الله الذين صدقوا وليعلمن الكاذبين. That Allah will know those who are truthful, or those who said the truth, and those who are liars. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows them already. But Allah makes things happen in order to make it evident and to have proof for it, so people don't have any justification after that. People don't have excuse after this. إِلَّا لِنَعْلَمَ مَنْ يُؤْمِنُ بِالْآخِرَةِ مِمَّنْ هُوَ مِنْهَا فِي شَكٍّ. So what is the link between the belief in al-akhirah and the following of shaitan? It is what we said earlier about the promise. Because the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mainly to do with al-akhirah. Is entirely to do with al-akhirah. So Allah promises you to remain on this path, the reward will come in the hereafter. And the promise of a shaitan is, do this and you'll like it. Keep your money in your pocket, you'll have your money with you. You're not going to lose it. So the promise of shaitan can be, things can be seen. Temporarily, things can be seen in this life. But the promise of Allah is not to be seen in this life. So what makes, or what's the criterion here? Alaykum assalam wa rahmatullah. Is al-iman bil-akhirah. Is the belief in al-akhirah. Those who have strong belief in al-akhirah and they can actually see the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala coming true, these are the ones who are going to say to shaitan, no, I don't want all of that, because I can see something else and I'm working for something else. It's not in this dunya, but I'm certainly sure about it, and I have strong belief this was going to happen. Allah said, إِلَّا لِنَعْلَى مَا يُؤْمِنُ بِالْآخِرَةِ مِمَّنْ هُوَ مِنْهَا فِي شَكٍّ. Allah doesn't say from the one who doesn't believe. Allah said from the one who has doubts about it. Someone is in doubts. It's not really. And my brothers and sisters, the belief in al-akhirah is so crucial. It's very important. And when Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, لا يزني الزاني حين يزني وهو مؤمن ولا يشرب الخمر. The one who fornicates does not fornicate while he's mu'min, he's a believer. And the one who drinks doesn't drink while he's a believer. What's the meaning of that? It's not the meaning as some people said that by committing these sins you come out of belief and you're not Muslim anymore. No, but this means that while the people are committing these sins, the belief in al-akhirah goes to the minimum, nearly zero. No one is going to be disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and then at the same time they are thinking of the standing up in front of Allah yawm al-qiyamah. And thinking that I'll be standing up in front of Allah on the Day of Judgment, I'll be questioned about what I'm doing right now. It doesn't happen like that. So, but at that moment, when someone is disobeying Allah, the belief in al-akhirah is very, very low. So the belief in al-akhirah means that how much you remember it. Because the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Allah said, يا أيها النبي إن أرسلناك شاهدا ومبشرا فذكر إنما أنت مذكر. Allah said, فذكر إنما أنت مذكر. Remind. So when you remind people, or you remind yourself, or remind someone, you don't remind them of something they don't know. You remind them of something they already know, but they forget. So Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam comes here to remind us. One of the rules of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is to remind us of something that we already know, but we forget it. And the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, ألا إني كنت قد نهيتكم عن زيارة القبور. I used to forbid you from visiting the graves. ألا فزوروها. Behold, do visit the graves. The cemetery, فإنها تذكركم الآخرة. Because the visiting the graveyard reminds you of al-akhirah. Reminds you, you already know it. We all believe in Yawm al-Qiyamah and al-akhirah will come back to, and Allah will question us about our actions, but we do forget. One of the ways to remember that, Rasul ﷺ said to visit the graves. So when you visit the cemetery and look at the graves and remember people that you buried here, this reminds you of your end and you're standing up before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this has a great effect. Rasul ﷺ, why Rasul is advising us to remember, Rasul is advising us to remember al-akhirah, because this has a great effect in our behavior. Because when the belief in al-akhirah is weak, people tend to follow shaitan. Look here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, following a shaitan is an indication that there is doubt in that belief. That belief is not strong. Man yu'minu bil-akhirah doesn't follow shaitan. So what happens when you forget about al-akhirah? Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us about certain things. One of them is to visit the cemetery. And another one is to do the same thing. Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, أَكْثِرُوا مِنْ ذِكْرِ هَادِمِ اللَّذَّاتِ. Remember a lot. Again, أَكْثِرُوا, remember a lot. مِنْ ذِكْرِ, dhikr is remembrance. أكثروا من ذكر هادم اللذات. Remember a lot the destroyer of the pleasures. That is death. So remember, again something, no one denies the fact that we all die. No one, Muslim, non-Muslim, no one denies that. Atheist, believer, religious, Hindu, Sikh, Christian, Muslim, anyone knows this is a fact of life. No one has eternity in this life. Everyone dies. Everyone is in this life for a short time. And then everyone will go. No one ever lived in this life forever. But then what happens is what is after that death is what people forget. So Rasulullah said, أَكْثِرُوا مِن ذِكْرِ, remember a lot the destroyer of the pleasure, because even that fact of life that we all know for certain, we forget as well. Just imagine, just think about your day today. How many times in your day today that you thought about your death? Maybe once, twice, maybe nothing. So it's something that we actually forget. And we need remembrance. We need to remind ourselves about it. It's a fact of life, as I said. Everyone knows it. There's no doubt. It's not like this is different from the belief in Al-Akhirah. Because Al-Akhirah is something that you don't see. But even death itself, so leave alone the unseen, even the seen one, the one that we see day and night, and we hear about it all the time, we do forget this one. So it needs a lot of reminders. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Al-Mulk, تبارك الذي بيده الملك وهو على كل شيء قدير الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم, the one who created death and life in order to test you. And one of the explanations of this ayah, that Allah created death and life to test you. But how can death be a test? So when other people die, one of the explanations of this ayah, when other people die, this is a test for you. This is part of your test, because you see death, how are you going to react to that? How are you going to fix yourself preparing for the same end? Because people are dying around you, then remember, okay, this is a reminder, one after the other. And as they said, the angel of death went to one of the prophets of Allah, and when the angel of death came to him, he said, oh, but I'm not ready. Why didn't you tell me beforehand? Why just suddenly come like that? And he said to him, what about your grey hair? That was a reminder, that was a warning. What about people who die around you? You see them dying every day, that was another warning. What about your back that used to be straight? He told him about different signs. You're actually coming to the end. There's all reminders. Death doesn't come like that without these reminders. One of them is that seeing people passing away in front of us all the time. إِلَّا لِنَعْلَمَ. So my brothers and sisters, the belief in Al-Akhirah is the key point in following the shaitan or not following the shaitan. This is the criterion. It is the criterion. This is the only one. Following the shaitan, not following the shaitan. And disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala happens when the belief in Al-Akhirah is weak. If you want to have, like imagine that you have like two, the scales of belief in Al-Akhirah and disobedience. So the belief in Al-Akhirah goes up, disobedience goes down. The belief in Al-Akhirah goes down, disobedience goes up. So if you find yourself far and regular in sinning, then you need to fix this one. This means the belief in Al-Akhirah is so weak. It's not awake in the heart. It's somewhere, hidden somewhere in a deep sleep. So you need to wake up, give it a big shake and say, come on, you're not going to hear for long. Be ready for that. And again, one of the best ways to do that is to go to the cemetery. إِلَّا لِنَعْلَمَ مَنْ يُؤْمِنُ بِالْآخِرَةِ مِمَّنْ هُوَ فِي شَكٍّ وَرَبُّكَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ حَفِيظٌ. And your Lord is over everything a guardian. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after everything, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the protector. Remember we said the shaitan goes away when you say أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. أعوذ بالله, I seek refuge in Allah from a shaitan the cursed. So it is not actually our strength. Adam alayhi salam, the prophet of Allah, the one who was created by the hands of Allah, the first of mankind, was deceived by shaitan. So what about me or you? We are much weaker than Adam. At least the Adam saw the angels, he was there. Let's imagine Adam was there. And he knew for certain, it wasn't just knowledge for him, it was certainty. That Allah and the creation and the angels and the Jannah, this was certainty for Adam. He saw it by his own, he witnessed all of that. Yet, he was deceived by shaitan. So we are much weaker than shaitan, than Adam alayhi salam. So it's not our strength actually that's going to protect us. It is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we do what Allah told us to do, but then at the end of the day, Allah is the protector. A'udhu billahi, I seek refuge in Allah from a shaitan. It's not myself. Though Allah said, إِنَّ كَيْدَ الشَّيْطَانِ كَانَ ضَعِيفًا. So a shaitan, his plot is weak. But a shaitan managed to deceive Adam. And many other people. Even those, subhanAllah, remember that some people did see a Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So imagine if any one of us saw a Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, listened to him, prayed behind him, heard the Quran from his mouth. If me or you, any one of you, just think about yourself, just it happened, you went to the time machine and they took you back more than 1400 years ago, and you find yourself, you lie down in the masjid of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he's leading salah, and you look to your right, this is Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, and in the next row there is Ali ibn Abi Talib, these people are sitting around you. And then after Salah, Rasul was giving you some advice. Would you ever after that disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Or do something nasty or do any sin after this? Would you? No. Because you think that your iman will be shooting up. You will be the best person on earth. So, oh, I wish this happened to me. But actually, some people were in that position and they are in the fire right now. Some people used to pray with the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam and they were hypocrites. They heard the Quran from his mouth and they heard the advice. They saw his face, alayhi salatu wassalam. When one of us just sees the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the dream, we become over the moon. Because I saw Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam in a dream. What about people like seeing a Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam physically in front of them and they never believed in him? And they are in the fire right now. Those who saw Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam and lived with him for years and years, and they fought against him in the battles, and they tried to kill him. So it is not all of that, it is the guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when Allah says, وَرَبُّكَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ حَفِيظٌ, remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He knows everything. Allah keeps the accountability of everything. Everything is recorded, and also the protection comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not from ourselves, if not from anything else. What we do is say, go to the cemetery, try to remember al-akhirah. These are just some reasons to do it. But ultimately the protection comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلَقَدْ صَدَّقَ عَلَيْهِمْ إِبْلِيسُ ظَنَّهُ فَاتَّبَعُوهُ إِلَّا فَرِيقًا مِّنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَمَا كَانَ لَهُ عَلَيْهِمْ مِّن سُلْطَانٍ إِلَّا لِنَعْلَمَ مَن يُؤْمِنُ بِالْآخِرَةِ مِمَّنْ هُوَ مِنْهَا فِي شَكٍّ وَرَبُّكَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ حَفِيظٌ. And then the next few ayat, ayat 22, ayat 24 after that, and ayat 25, 26 and 27, they all start with قُلْ. So it is one context that starts with قُلْ. قُلْ means say, telling our Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam to say something. So after the stories that we mentioned in Surah Saba, the first page was like an introduction to the surah, and these stories we mentioned, and today we studied the conclusion of the story of Saba. So what led them to do what they did was a shaitan and the deception, and the reason they listened to a shaitan is because of the belief in al-akhirah. And then after that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is guiding our Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam to use what came beforehand in the surah and to speak to them, to speak to those people around him. And inshallah we'll study that thoroughly next meeting. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين وجزاكم الله خيرا.